The Subway sandwich sits on the counter, wrapped in paper that promises a customer measures it with their phone. 11 inches, maybe 10.5. They post the photos online. Comments flood in. Hundreds of people measuring their sandwiches, finding the same thing. The footlong isn't 12 inches anymore. But the price, that stayed at $12. Sometimes, well, this isn't an isolated incident. It's a pattern, a strategy, a transformation in how American companies extract value while delivering less. And most people feel it but can't name it. That sense of paying more and getting less, of being cheated in ways too small to complain about but too consistent to ignore. Because across 12 product categories, the same mechanism is operating. Quietly, systematically, reshaping what value means in America. The first item sits in your bathroom every morning. Toothpaste. The Crest tube you bought last month looks identical to the one from 6 months ago. Same packaging, same brand, but the volume changed. What used to be 6.4 ounces is now 5.8, then 5.4. Now some brands are at 4.6 ounces. The price, still $9.99. That's a 28% reduction in product. 0 reduction in price. You're paying 35% more for the same amount of toothpaste, but you probably didn't notice, because the tube looks the same. A consumer researcher in Boston tracks the phenomenon. They reduce in increments, small enough that consumers don't immediately register it. Over 2-3 years, you're getting significantly less for the same money. The second transformation happens before you leave for work. Coffee. The Folgers container underwent a quiet revision. The 39-ounce canister became 30.5 ounces. Same red container, same mountain imagery. 22% less coffee. The price held at $14.90, which means a 28% price increase per ounce. Your morning coffee just got more expensive, but the change was gradual enough that most people blamed drinking more, not getting less. Premium brands followed. Dunkin', Starbucks, all shrinking containers while maintaining prices. The third item affects every household. Paper towels. The Bounty package promises the same performance, but count the sheets. What used to be $120 per roll is now $102. Then $88. Some brands drop to $74 while keeping the mega roll label. The engineering is sophisticated. They made sheets slightly larger so the roll looks the same size, but you're getting 25 to 40% fewer sheets at the same price. The square footage dropped too. Sheets got thinner, less absorbent, requiring multiple sheets for tasks that used to need one. A blogger calculated the real cost. You're using 50% more sheets because they're thinner, getting 30% fewer sheets per roll. You're effectively paying double what you paid 3 years ago, but the sticker price only went up 15%. The fourth category reveals how granular this extraction has become. Toilet paper. What used to be 425 sheets per mega roll became 366, then 312. The size of each sheet shrunk from 4.5 by 4 inches to 4 by 3.92. A 12-pack that used to provide 2,040 square feet now provides 1,460, 28% less product at equivalent prices. Different brands use different counts and dimensions, making comparison deliberately difficult. You'd need a spreadsheet to figure out actual value. The fifth transformation happens in the snack aisle. Chips. The Lay's family size bag went from 13 ounces to 12.5, then 11.5. Now some sit at 9.75 ounces, but the bag is filled with nitrogen, so it looks the same size. The price climbed from $4.99 to $6.49. You're paying 30% more for 25% less product. A 55% increase per ounce. Doritos followed. Cheetos. Pretzels. Every chip brand executing the same playbook. A grocery analyst described as, the industry calls it value engineering. They're engineering value out of the product and into their margins. The sixth item sits in refrigerators across America. Orange juice. Tropicana went from 64 ounces to 59. Then 52, some brands now sell 46-ounce containers where half-gallons used to be. Same shelf position. Same $5 price. You're getting 28% less juice. The quality changed too. More concentrate, less pulp. Flavor profiles, suggesting dilution. The 7th category affects every meal. Restaurant portions. The quarter pounder weighs less after cooking. The Whopper is smaller. Chipotle servings drop by what employees estimate is 15 to 20%. Prices increased. The value meal that costs $6 in 2021 costs $9.50. Now, for less food. Full-service restaurants followed. The 12-ounce steak became 10 ounces. Pasta portions that used to satisfy now leave you hungry. Menu prices climbed 20 to 30%. A consultant explains the pressure. Restaurants can't just raise prices 30%. So they raise prices 15% and reduce portions 20%. Hidden inflation. The 8th product sits in cleaning aisles. Laundry detergent. The Tide bottle went from 150 ounces to 138. Then 115. Now some varieties sit at 92 ounces. The bottle design changed to look fuller. Labels emphasize concentrated formula to justify the reduction. What used to provide 96 loads now claims 64. At higher prices, the 9th transformation happens in cereal aisles. Breakfast cereals. Boxers maintained dimensions, but weight dropped. A box of Cheerios went from 18 ounces to 15.4. The box size stayed the same. Filled with air to prevent rattling. The price increased from $4.99 to $5.99, 20% more for 15% less. The industry cites ingredient costs, but profit margins expanded during the same period. The 10th category reveals the psychology. Ice cream. The standard half-gallon disappeared. What replaced it looks like a half-gallon but holds 48 ounces. Then 42. Now some premium brands sell 40-ounce containers at half-gallon prices. The round container design disguises the reduction. You're getting 21% less at the same cost. The quality declined too. More air whipped in. Lower butterfat, cheaper stabilizers. A food scientist describes it, they're using less of the expensive ingredients and more air. You're paying a premium for degradation. The 11th item affects budgets weekly. Meat. What looks like a pound of ground beef is actually 12 ounces. The family pack of chicken contains fewer, smaller pieces. Bacon packages went from 16 ounces to 12. The price per pound increased. But the real extraction is in package size reduction. You're paying more per pound for smaller packages. The quality shifted to more water weight in chicken, more fat in ground beef at the same labeled percentage. The 12th product completes the cycle. Personal care items. Deodorant sticks shrunk from 3 ounces to 2.7 to 2.4. Shampoo bottles went from 16 ounces to 14 to 12. Body wash from 24 ounces to 22.16. Every personal care product got smaller, while prices stayed flat or increased. The cumulative effect represents hundreds of dollars per year in hidden price increases. The pattern is complete. 12 categories. Same strategy, reduce contents, maintain price. Rely on consumer inertia to sustain revenue, but the implications extend beyond individual purchases. This represents a fundamental shift in the relationship between companies and consumers. The implicit contract that fair exchange means equivalent value is dissolving. The strategies are sophisticated. Package redesigns that disguise reduction. Concentrated formulas justifying smaller containers. Mega designations meaning nothing. Air inflation maintaining visual presence. The goal, prevent consumers from easily calculating actual value. The effect compounds. If you're getting 20 to 30% less across 12 categories, replacing items more frequently, the annual household cost increase is substantial. Thousands of dollars, disguised as stable prices. But the inflation is real. Hidden in ounces and dimensions instead of price tags. Your dollars buy less. Your budget stretches less far. And the companies engineering this are recording record profits. Manufacturers cite ingredient costs, transportation expenses, labor pressures. All real factors, but profit margins tell a different story. Many companies executing shrinkflation are simultaneously reporting margin expansion. The psychological impact is harder to measure, but equally significant. Consumers sense they're being cheated. Can't articulate how, but the feeling is pervasive. Corrosive. A consumer psychologist describes it. People feel gaslit. They know something changed. Companies deny it. The packaging looks the same. So, consumers question their own perception. It creates low-level anxiety around every purchase. The anxiety is rational. You can't shop your way out of systematic extraction. Switching brands doesn't help when all brands execute the same playbook. Some switch to generic brands, but store brands are shrinking too, following the same patterns. Others try buying in bulk. But bulk sizes are shrinking. The value gap between small and large packages is narrowing. What used to be 20% savings is now 8%. The alternative is accepting the extraction as the new normal, paying more for less, which is what most people do, because tracking shrinkflation across hundreds of products is unsustainable. But acceptance has consequences. When corporations learn they can reduce value without losing customers, the behavior accelerates. 5% reductions become 10, then 15. The floor keeps dropping. The endpoint isn't clear, but the direction is towards smaller portions, lower quality, eager prices, more extraction. Less balut. Companies rely on several consumer behaviors to sustain this. Have it? Most people buy the same brands without checking sizes. Familiar packaging triggers automatic purchase. Confusion. Variation in package sizes and unit pricing makes comparison shopping deliberately difficult. Acceptance. Even when consumers notice, they often shrugged, because individual complaints feel pointless, because the energy to fight back on every purchase is exhausting. These behavioral patterns aren't accidental. They're studied, tested, optimized. Companies invest heavily in understanding how far they can push before consumers push back. The resistance is building. Social media documents. People photograph products next to older versions, measure contents, calculate real price increases. But awareness without alternatives doesn't shift markets. You can know you're being exploited and still need toothpaste. The structural problem is that consumer goods markets have consolidated. A few companies control most brands. When one successfully implements shrinkflation, others follow. There's no competition on value. The regulatory response has been minimal. Shrinkflation isn't illegal. It's normal business practice. Consumer protection agencies are understaffed, so the extraction continues. Accelerates, becomes the baseline. The cameras in stores track your eyes, your hand movements, how long you pause. The data informs package design, shelf placement, the engineering of optimal extraction. The apps on your phone track purchases, price sensitivity, willingness to accept changes. The algorithms learn how to maximize revenue from your specific patterns. The system is optimizing for extraction, not value, for corporate margins, not consumer benefit, for shareholder returns, not community well-being. The 12 products are examples. The pattern extends across every aisle, every category, every brand. The entire consumer goods ecosystem is being restructured around giving less while maintaining price. You're paying the same dollar amount, getting 20 to 30% less, replacing items more frequently. The net effect is massive inflation disguised as stability. Most people accept it because they don't know what else to do, because the system is designed to make resistance difficult. But the consequences are building. In household budgets, in consumer trust, in the social fabric that depends on fair exchange. The question isn't whether this continues. It will. The question is, what happens when enough people stop accepting it, when the accumulated frustration overcomes habit? The answer isn't clear yet. But the tension is visible. In social media posts, in comment sections filled with frustration, in the growing sense that the game is rigged. The 12 products aren't the problem. They're symptoms, evidence of a transformation in how value flows in American capitalism. From consumers to corporations. From many to few. The packaging will keep shrinking. The prices will keep rising. The quality will keep declining, because the system that should prevent this has been engineered into something else. Your toothpaste, your coffee, your paper towels, your chips, your juice, your restaurant meals, your detergent, your cereal, your ice cream, your meat, your personal care products, all shrinking, all costing more, all extracting value, all betting you won't notice, won't care, won't change. They're probably right for now, but the footage is accumulating. The measurements, the documentation, the evidence that something shifted, that the deal changed. That you're paying the same for less. The pattern is clear now. What comes next isn't. But the algorithms are learning, and the next reduction is already being tested. In focus groups, in market studies, in calculations about how far they can push. The answer, so far, is further than anyone expected, but not as far as they're planning to go. The shrinking has just begun.